talked to this person, and she talked to that person, and she talked to this other person, and she talked, and she talked, and they talked, and they talked, and nothing gets done, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are tired of talk. They want their job. This government, this
no lessons from these conservatives. Trust me on that, Mr. Speaker.
Canada's economy is in fact growing, Mr. Speaker.
And my mic is on. Excellent. Welcome to the NAP, where we cover the question period, prefaced by a review of the far left evil that has beset our land and the events that surround it. This is the daily show that we do prior to the question period sitting in the House, and we do this every day when the House sits, and when it's not sitting. But obviously, we will be doing other things. As you can see, we release other videos on this channel. So please join us. And thank you. If you've actually come, please give us a like and a share and a subscription and a follow and a thumbs up or whatever platform you're on, because we are on both Rumble and CommuTube and also X. So please feel free to ask us anything. The chat is up, or leave a comment. The comments drive the algorithm when I'm not trying to drive the algorithm down with my words. Let's get right into our first news panel of the stuff that we are covering. A lot of the stuff that we have been covering, we always start our show with the updates on what has been happening at the ostrich farm. David Craden at Craden's Right has been doing a lot of the coverage there. And I have a very short video here, not from David, but from Table Salt, a new twist in what is happening here. So let's make sure that we have our desktop audio on.
Thanks for reciprocal, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for bringing this to me, and I will. Okay. I will bring it up, and then we'll see what the CFIA says, and I'll bring back an answer to you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. But those three are going to be the ones that you're going to ask your leader to come with.
Well, I can't say if that's going to happen or not.
But you're the one who's going to be...
I'll be the messenger for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ask him with me.
Give us a little bit of time. All right.
You've already been given enough time, though, so whoever...
This is new to me.
Yeah.
So, all right.
It's going to be new, but steward of that law.
All right. I'll bring it up. How to make the decisions, right?
I know.
Okay. Well, just
Well,
informal.
Today.
You know what? I'm only here to serve the law naturally, and it comes natural. There's nothing. It's not a threat either. It's a promise.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Go. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Like, I know how long that you've been expecting.
Hour, an hour and a half. Probably under an hour.
Within the hour, hopefully. All right.
All right, so as we can see, we've seen a trespass notice here being given by the Six Nations, being issued to the RCMP and the CFIA. So I guess this is it. This is the trifecta of all the UN aspects coming in at the very same time. So you've got these World Health Agency under the auspices of United Nations, globalism, instituting these laws under CFIA. The CFIA has self-introduced through its own legislation that was allowed for them to do by Bill S11 that was tabled back in 2009 by a conservative senator that was appointed by Harper. And then, so they studied that bill, and then they tabled it, and it passed. And then that allowed CFIA to then introduce its own legislation, its own set of rules. And because they had passed a bill that allowed CFIA to do this. And then of course, because the bill already said that CFIA could write their own legislation, then that passed as well. And now here we are with this legislation that is sort of copying what the World Health Agency tells them to do. Because not really, because when you look at the World Health Agency rules, they are supposed to allow the farmers to continue their husbandry of the animals until they are disposed of, if they still need to be disposed of. But of course, the CFIA has ignored all that, right? Because they're just a bunch of power-hungry goofs. So now on the other side, of course, we have UNDRIP, United Nations. I forget what the DRP is or DRIP, but obviously that's basically saying that any lands that used to own to Indigenous people have to go back to them, right? So now, of course, we've been seeing a lot of this land here in Canada just being arbitrarily given back to the natives by townships, like we saw out in Richmond, BC. That's kind of disturbing, but here we have all these forces. You can one side UN saying this, and then the other side UN saying that. Now they're meeting heads, and who's going to win this bun fight, right? Is it which one has the more virtue signaling power? Is what I'm wondering how this is going to go. A strange twist. And then, of course, when we go to David's page, he had somebody on again today. And it looks like, yes, they've been caught disposing of birds in blue bins out at the landfill. And now I don't know which landfill they went to, because apparently the one landfill that they were supposed to have access to told the cops initially when this whole fiasco started that they were not disposing the birds in their landfill, because apparently they're saying that, hey, these birds are diseased. Oh, no. If you insist they're diseased, then they're not going in our landfill. So then they have to find their own. So like they kept giving them roadblocks at all times. So I don't know. I haven't watched the story. I've just been covering the other topics. There's plenty of other things to follow. But honestly, this is a very, very sad and sickening story, but it encompasses everything that is wrong with this Liberal government and the bureaucracy that they have built in Canada. A bureaucracy that will just come in and confiscate your property without you allowed to question it whatsoever. And if you do, well, then they'll just arrest you and throw you in jail. It's like outright communism. And then they just say, oh, the birds are sick, we're going to kill them. And then they refuse to test the birds. Right? They refuse to test the bird. And if you test them, of course, then it's $200,000 fine, and then they can throw you in jail for 6 months. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, this entire fiasco. And the whole world is paying attention to this, but the Liberals don't care because it's not their money. The CFIA doesn't care because it's not their money. They're government employees. They're never going to get fired. There is just no accountability whatsoever. None whatsoever under the Liberals. It's only going to get worse. All right. Well, every time I'm on their Universal site, I try to bring up their camera. They've been having a lot of live stream issues. I know it's hard, folks. Well, maybe next time. Let's move on to our next panel. Yes, where we like to cover the updates on the No to Digital ID in the UK. And this number now has climbed from 2.911 to 2.912 million. So it's slowly creeping up. Really went gangbusters first week. Now it's just slowly creeping to 3 million. Of course, because they want to introduce this, and everybody's saying no, they're going to do it anyway. Well, it looks like Starmer's having his own issues. A lot of his cabinet is fleeing from the latest scandal that has come out. One scandal too many. But that government could stay in power for, another 2.5, 3 years almost? It's just insane, the insanity that is happening out in the West by these cultural Marxists destroying all our societies with uncontrolled, unchecked mass immigration to break the system in order to bring in authoritarian rules. That's all they want to do. Now, meanwhile, Ezra was over in Dublin because the locals there were quite in a tiff. The huge migrant center, I don't know what Ireland is doing, but they're part of this international compact to destroy the West from within as well. When you have a village that has 250 people in it, and then you dump more than 250 migrants into that village, you basically culturally genocide your village overnight. Yeah. And that's what they're doing in their own countries. They're literally invading their own country with migrants who haven't been vetted for the same cultural beliefs, don't speak the language, don't care about being Irish. And as soon as they're there, they're given full benefits and taken care of. And then, of course, with that insanity going on, being pushed by the far left cultural Marxists, destroying our Western civilization, well, of course, there's no checks and balances on these migrants. So they bring in their same cultural attitudes from the land that they come from, which means that they have a different attitude when it comes to law and order. And then, of course, you end up with an alleged rape of a young girl. And then the locals all lose their crap. And of course they do. If the fighting Irish are fighting pretty hard, well, they started protesting, and the press was there. But this time, the Garda is a little out of control this time. They were just pepper spraying, pushing everyone around. There was I watched a different news piece where there was actually a journalist who's covered a lot of these issues in Ireland for decades. And even when there were a lot of protests happening in support of the IRA against the British, he was never assaulted the way the Garda assaulted him as somebody from the press. So it's just a repeat of what we are seeing that happened in the 1930s, of this attitude that physical violence is all right, that death can be just excused as long as it's for the right cause, equating speech with violence so that you say that it's okay now to cause violence on other people. And this is all coming from the left. This is all being manufactured and coordinated from the left, the same globalist, evil people, families that do this on this planet on a regular cycle. So, anyways, Ezra was there, and he experienced what I experienced. Well, I never actually got sprayed in the eye, but on a regular basis, as a former member of the Canadian Armed Forces, you go into the gas huts if you're working in a tactical environment, which I did spend almost half my career in. So, going into the gas huts twice a year, being exposed to tear gas, and when you see other people like this, well, you know what? Ezra took it like a trooper.
There's little fucking kids here!
All right.
Ezra, you okay?
I need some water in my eye.
Very good. Very good reaction there, Ezra. So then, of course, then he did the story after, and Ezra looks a little banged up in this piece.
First flight. Ezra Levant for Rebel News. It's after midnight, finally back at our hotel here in Dublin, and we're taking the first flight back to Toronto tomorrow morning. We came with one purpose only, and that was to take the pulse of the people of Dublin after a shocking crime happened in their city. Allegedly, a 26-year-old migrant who had been staying at Ireland's largest refugee camp, a 2,000-person swanky hotel turned into a migrant facility, has been accused of raping a 10-year-old girl. He was in court this morning. By the way, he's been in Ireland for 6 years. He had his refugee claim rejected. Still, he refused to go. He was given a deportation order. Still, he refused to go. And by the way, at his trial, he required an Arabic language translator. Sounds like he didn't even bother to even try to learn the language. It's shocking. And this is the latest in a pattern of crimes by foreign migrants who are overwhelming Ireland. I don't understand why this country is so dead set on, I don't know, setting some sort of record for the most migrants. And many of them are so obviously bogus. They've come here, many of them walking across from the United Kingdom, from Northern Ireland into Ireland. Clearly, they're not in any danger. If you're coming from the UK or France, you're not in danger. You're not a refugee anymore. It's a scam. You know, we had a taxi driver today who was talking about how hard it is for him to get ahead and to buy a house, whereas all these migrants get free, luxurious accommodations either in a hotel or in a house, including 3 square meals a day. And
it's not just in Ireland. It's in Canada. What are they? They're bringing in, what, 237 people a day or something stupid like that right now in Canada? They haven't stopped their mass immigration, right? And each and every one of them that come in, tons of benefits, tons of extra cash that they're just printing the money machine. We wonder why the prices are so high at the grocery store, because of their constant spending, increasing the money flow, the capital, giving all these free benefits. Meanwhile, how's everything going for you folks there in Canada? How's your job market? Yeah, wonder, how's the housing market? How the housing availability? Oh, I know. We'll just make prefab shacks off a rack and we'll call it a house and we'll sell that to you. Because, you know, we've driven all the people that can actually build homes out of the country. Just insanity never stops. All right, let's go to our next panel here. Global news videographer grabs Neville News cameraman. So let's just watch a little piece of this.
Assaulted by a global news cameraman. Of all people, a cameraman is the one who decided to assault me while I was holding a camera. So we're going to get into this. This is a weird story that happened while I was there at the Universal Ostrich Farms, helping my coworker Drea Humphrey report on the cull that the Canadian government has planned for these animals that are otherwise healthy. It's a crazy story. There's no reason that the government should try and murder these birds, but we're here to talk about the incident that happened between a global news reporter and myself. So we're going to do a quick recap here, and then you're going to see just how delusional and antagonistic this global news cameraman is. And the point being here, if you're going to be somebody who works in the public, you're going to be somebody who tries to seek interviews, you're going to be somebody who has to deal with other people in a crowd, there's no justification for you to be as hostile as this mainstream media global news cameraman. And hopefully, global news takes this seriously and addresses the matter with this individual. So in the first incident, I had no idea what was going on. I approached as I saw him, this camera guy, and a few of the female protesters having an argument amongst themselves. Here's that footage.
Be respectful of me.
Yeah, it's right. Well, I said to you, I don't want to be filmed, and you stuffed that right in my face.
And I will do that to anyone who threatens me.
I did not threaten you.
You did not say
I said I did not want that in my face, and you stuck it in my face. And you said to me, and I've got it on camera.
Get out. Nobody wants you. You're not welcome here. Fake news.
I never said that.
That's what you say. What those people did was create a scene and make things more difficult. So, I mean, who's this guy?
I don't know.
Yeah. Who are you with?
Neutral observer right now.
No, you're not a neutral observer. Who are you with? Do you have a blog or something?
Is there a reason you're confronting me?
I'm not confronting you.
I'm just a neutral observer.
Ask you, are you independent media?
I'm with Rebel News.
Media? What's that?
With Rebel News.
Sorry?
With Rebel News.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
What is he?
He's a journalist, independent journalist.
Yeah, okay.
I gotta run over to the bin thing. You're okay?
So anyway, because of him, I'm not going to talk to anybody else. Okay? So you interfered with what I...
Well, why don't we...
These arrogant Foxtrot uniform Charlie kilos. You know, just the arrogance. These are all the Quality Canadian Journalist Organization authorized media personnel. The ones that are actually registered with the Canadian government, have a little tax credit to them, where they have about 30 grand of their salary funded by our tax money. and supported their media, and this is how they act in public. Right? They have no understanding of how to treat other people. Right? And they frown and look down upon anyone else who has a different opinion from them. Oh, and especially if it's a competing medium that is, just adding more pressure to their old mainstream media that is dying, and that the only thing, of course, keeping it alive is our tax money. And they know it, but they're so smug right now because they know nobody can touch them, because as long as the liberals are in power, the piggy bank is going to keep flowing in their direction. Andrew, my brother in arms. Well, we never actually shared, but I'm sure if Andrew had been in a different situation and born earlier, he might have actually served himself. His father, I believe, was in the Air Force. And Andrew has something very important to say here, and this is other stuff that I've also covered in some of the videos that I have put out. So let's listen to Andrew.
Once again, and ask the government a question to which it has not been all that forthright in answering, which is, what precisely are its plans when it comes to its long-standing desire to censor what Canadians see, say, and do on the internet? Now, not that long ago in this House, Mr. Speaker, I asked the Minister of Canadian Identity what he was planning to do. Actually, I asked him if he would cop up to the fact that he was the minister tasked with online censorship, given that there seemed to be some doubt and actually some examples of Liberal ministers clamoring over precisely who got to take up that honour. But I need to give a bit of a history lesson for those who haven't been following this. The Liberals have, for the last 2 parliaments, tried to bring in draconian online censorship bills. They tried it in the 43rd Parliament and failed. They tried it in the 44th Parliament and failed. And now both the Justice Minister and the Minister for Canadian Identity have said this still remains a very live priority. When it comes to online censorship, the Liberals are saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. What Canadians are saying is, take the loss and sit down. Canadians do not want this government to regulate online speech. Canadians do not trust this government to do it. We are already seeing with Bill C-9, the Liberals reduce the threshold for what constitutes hate speech. We've seen in this bill them water down a definition that has been working in criminal law in Canada. C-63 in the most recent Parliament, the Online Harms Act, went far beyond this. C-63 actually would empower the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal to prosecute Canadians for saying things that offended people online. The Liberals were bringing back a much maligned, and I'm grateful to say, formerly repealed section of the Canadian Human Rights Act, Section 13. That's what's at issue when we talk about so-called online harms. And I have no doubt that the parliamentary secretary to the minister tonight will talk about all of the examples of why this is so necessary. But the reality is the condemnation of the Liberal government's online harms proposals has come from left and right. It's come from civil liberties groups on the left and right. It's come from Canadian luminaries such as Margaret Atwood, who I do not believe would ever align herself with those of us on this side of the bench, because Canadian free speech advocates, Canadian artists, Canadian scholars, journalists all realize the importance of being able to speak your mind without the government weaponizing a definition of hate to censor what Canadians do. And the reason I bring this up now is because when I asked the minister the first time around for this, he started talking about Google. He started talking about Google trying to give money to pacify the government when it comes to local journalism initiatives. But the minister was mixing up the many online censorship bills the Liberal government has put forward. And I realize there have been a lot of them. It's tough to keep on top of them. I wasn't asking him about Bill C-11, which forced the government to mandate YouTube algorithms and streaming. I wasn't talking about Bill C-18, which the government used and ultimately pulled local news and all journalism off the Facebook and Instagram platforms in Canada. I was talking specifically about online harms, a term that the government uses to cloak what it's doing in something that, to someone who doesn't pay attention to these issues, may make them feel good, like it's a good thing. But in reality, has no other objective but to reduce what is acceptable and permissible in the bounds of debate and the bounds of free society. So I'm asking this government once and for all, will it commit to taking its so-called online harm censorship bill out of the playbook and not censor what Canadians say and do online?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for Canadian to the Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to thank my colleague for his question. I would like to reassure Canadians that they are right to trust our Liberal government. We will protect their rights. Bill C-11 modernized the Broadcasting Act to ensure that digital platforms, which play such an important role in how Canadians stream music and audiovisual content, contribute fairly to support Canadian content. It did not allow the government to control YouTube algorithms. In fact, our government asked the CRTC not to impose regulations on online broadcasters that would impact the content of social media creators.
So everything she just said is an absolute lie. What happened to your news on Facebook, folks? Vanished. Vanished, didn't it, right? And then they go on and they talk about, oh, and Google partners with us. No, you passed legislation like a bunch of gangsters, and you told them they couldn't do business in their country unless they caved into your demands. And they said your demands are ridiculous. How about we just give you $200 million? And you said, right on, we'll take that. Because you're a bunch of extortionists. You're a bunch of power-hungry, authoritarian extortionists. That's all you are. And this whole thing that you can trust the Liberal government to look after your rights. Are you kidding me? After what you did during the freedom protests, while we currently have political prisoners being prosecuted and have been prosecuted in Canada, and you're trying to push legislation that is basically going to punish people for thought crimes? Every legislation that you have put through right now, once you bring in your hate crime legislation, if anybody speaks out about anything that you put in legislation, you're going to put them in jail. You're going to make them political prisoners because you say, hey, look, it's the law. It's how we've said we need to run our society. So all that crazy batshit stuff that you guys have, that is regards to DEI and trans and all that stuff that is just goes against common sense. Anybody who just speaks out normally about it, you're going to target them and then put them in jail, just like they are doing in the UK, arresting an average of 30 to 60 people a day as thought criminals, and then either issuing them a fine and saying that they non-violent hate crime kind of thing. Anyways, it goes permanently on their record for just maybe posting a meme, or you prosecute them and put them in jail. That's what this government wants. That's what these Liberals wants. They don't care about your freedom. They don't care about Canadian rights. They only care about making themselves rich. And the only way to do that is to control society through authoritarian regulation, following the rule books of their masters. Let's move on to the next piece. The really big show. There's some really relevant information here about exactly what we're talking about. Oops.
Let's listen to what Stephen Gov't says here about Bill C-18.
But do you think the Online News Act is working if influencers dominating the online chat during the election and not media and journalists?
The Online News Act is providing $100 million that is being invested in Canadian media. So yes, it's working. Can we do better? Let's see if it can be improved upon, but it is working.
But do you think
well, if we go back to that core stock chart there, is it working? Is it working?
Well, yeah, just look at any other media organization. Is the media sector in Canada flourishing right now? Would anybody really say that? The only people who are getting anywhere are, as that journalist said, like influencers, and as that study says.
And CBC, they got a $150 million raise, and then they gave themselves a raise. They're at the trough. So, and even Mark Carney said that what they're going to do, when we asked the question direct to him when he was in Cologne, we asked the question direct. He said, you're not going to like the answer. Our answer is to give more money to the CBC, which is basically an arm of this government.
Well, I mean, if there's anybody out there, listened to what Jim's just said and thought, shut up, that's not true. Go on the CBC's website. We were just on there. Go on the CBC's website. Look at their top story. The headline of which is Carney announces automatic tax filing makes school food program permanent and extends the Canada Strong Pass. Look at that, and then go on PMO Canada News. Just type that into Google and look at the Prime Minister's office and look at the news release, which is Carney announces new measures to lower costs for Canadians. And it's the same thing. They've taken this press release and put it on the CBC's front page. I just feel like sometimes, like, you get used to hearing that, don't you? That CBC just like, they're just liberals, basically.
They are the problem in
basically,
Canada. They are the problem in
Here's
Canada.
Exhibit A.
They take, and they don't have a big audience, they take money from every taxpayer. They take money from every taxpayer and do not represent the voices of Canadians. They do not represent the voice of Canada. There needs to be a referendum on CBC. Let Canadians choose.
Indeed, let Canadians choose. Now, unless you've been living under a rock or it's just not your jam, you must have heard about 3i Atlas at some point. Some point now, over the past month and a half. This interstellar object that is coming through our solar system. Well, recently, Dobsonian Power was able to get some really close images using his telescope because guess what? Apparently there was a shutdown in the United States that shut down funding to all the observations, all the telescope platforms, the radio telescopes, all of them that are managed by NASA. Well, apparently with no funding, well, all those feeds got shut off. So now it's up to people with their own telescopes out there. Of course, technology has increased over the years, self-adjusting and regulating and being able to track items up in the sky. Well, Dobsonian Power put up a picture, and here we have Dabu 007 doing a quick little reminder, and he's going to bring up the pictures, and he's going to give what he thinks it looks like, and then I'm going to show you what I think it looks like.
All right, guys, just when you think it couldn't get any crazier with this 3i Atlas, we've got some new images that are just plain wild. Now, I want you to see where Atlas is sitting behind the sun, but above the sun. So if you have a solar telescope, as you can see there, you'll be able to see it clearly. And that is exactly what we have over here with Dobsonian Power. He used his solar telescope, the only way to get a really good shot right now at the exact coordinates of where NASA said this object is. And this is what he captured. It is rather wild. This is the raw, unprocessed image right here. And a shout out to Julio and Vanessa that cleaned it up, took the noise out of it, adjusted some lighting, as you can see in the middle one, and then just simply zoomed in on different areas. And you can see the different areas that are zoomed in on some of the wild stuff that is there. Now, some of these places, like the image on the right, look like a painting, like a picture, like a drawing of some sort. It looks wild. That this is what you're getting from this so-called Comet Atlas at this point. Again, this is from a solar telescope, and Dobsonian says he plans to try to go live on this thing later with the regular telescope. But the circular nature of this thing is wild. What is this on the right that we're looking at? It looks crazy. You know what it looks like to me? It looks like this guy in Assyrian Lamassu, or very close to a centaur with wings. It's what it looks like. I mean, to me, if you're going to call details out, I mean, it clearly looks like.
So Dabu07 just said what he think it looks like. Now, when I saw this picture, first thing I noticed, of course, was, it looks like a face. It looks like there might be two side faces facing on the sides as well. It looks like somebody dancing. This is their left arm sticking out, like they're kind of like wearing long sleeves that are hanging down. This arm is kind of hanging out, but bent at the elbow with its hand kind of like forward, and then you've got the midriff, and then the legs are out. It looks like it's dancing. It looks like a dancing figure. And the first thing that came to mind to me was Cosmic Shiva. First thing I thought of was this dancing Cosmic Shiva picture. I don't know, just me. Then again, you gotta remember, they have zoomed in so close on this picture, we're just looking at pixels. And the fact that there's an image coming out from this close up of pixels, who knows what we're really looking at. But really is just to say that Three-Eye Atlas is coming, and what the heliosphere is going to be, not the heliosphere, the point where it's closest to Earth was going to be on the 29th of October. Yeah, 9 days from now, apparently. And we will see what is going on with this crazy object, because apparently it's not acting normally. It's not acting normally at all. It's not continuing on its path. Apparently it may have changed speeds, and apparently there's some other people that are saying that it was broadcasting the Fibonacci symbol in a light variance, where the actual mathematical combination was it like 5 lights, then 3 lights, then 8 lights. Yeah, anyway, kind of weird. Well, let's just move on to the next panel and bring back our bug and my face. Here we go. Well, here's a post by Dr. Andrew Zibwick. Let's do a quick check on the time here. Very good. House of Commons is sitting, and they are doing their statements by the members. Right, so some new information on the COVID stupidity. Must read, says Andrew here. COVID-19 injections are biological weapons. The peer-reviewed paper below contains the evidence. Both the Alliance of Indigenous Nations and the World Council for Health have put out a press release. And this is the press release here. Well, they put out the press release, and the press release refers to this document. I'm just going to go straight to the conclusion on this peer-reviewed paper. The COVID-19 pandemic response violated core principles of public health, medical freedom, and bodily autonomy, amplifying the devastating effects of SARS-CoV-2 and its modified mRNA biologics/vaccines. The overwhelming evidence of SARS-CoV-2 gain-of-function origins, coupled with the catastrophic health impacts of modified mRNA COVID-19 biologics/vaccines and the unchecked expansion of next-generation mRNA biologics, paints a chilling picture of deliberate design and systemic harm. Engineered viral features and vaccines that devastate immunological, cardiovascular, reproductive, and neurological systems have driven staggering morbidity and mortality, with effects unlikely to be accidental. But that unlikely to be accidental. Coordinated efforts to obscure these truths enabled by liability shields and legislative failures have worsened a global health disaster. Indeed, what's happened in Canada is that the Vaccine Injury Support Program that failed disastrously this summer that the public health took over, and we haven't heard anything about it since. And why isn't the opposition talking about, well, they've mentioned it a few times. Yes, Dr. Lewis has mentioned it in Parliament. Somebody else has mentioned it as well. But, as a campaign item, as being out there in public saying, people died. Why are nobody being held accountable for this? That's what we should be saying. But then again, this is just yet another peer-reviewed paper for them to ignore, just like they have ignored every other peer-reviewed paper. Now, of course, this one is by yet another group of people. Maybe this one will get some more virtue signaling power because it has an indigenous group attached to it. The surge in autoimmune diseases, aggressive cancers, pregnancy losses, cardiovascular fatalities, societal fragmentation, and the looming risks of advanced mRNA platforms demand an immediate halt to mRNA vaccine and biological use. Comprehensive investigations into motives behind this unprecedented violation of public trust and robust measures to restore safe therapeutics and ethical public health practices. Humanity deserves accountability, transparency, and a resolute commitment to preventing such engineering calamities in the future. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we can stop them because we knew about something like this happening in history in the past. We had pandemic protocols in place that were redefined and fine-tuned in 2003 after the SARS-CoV-2, including the use of hydrochloroquine because they knew it worked then against COVID viruses. And even knowing that, they ignored all the protocols. They ignored, in fact, banned the use of an effective medication, just like they're mentioning here. They went and banned ivermectin, which they knew would increase your gut sustainability, which everything works in your gut. You got a good gut going, you got a better immune system, right? Because you are what you eat. Well, by making you healthier, you can have a stronger immune system. You don't have to worry about the flu so bad. You can just shake it off. That's part of having an immune system. But no, they threw fear at everybody, just like this conclusion here said. Yes, it's one of the primary reasons why I started this channel. Well, let's move on to the next panel. Because we are still 11 minutes past the hour and it's still statements by members. Now, Nicholas Hulsher, MPH. Now, this is a continuation of the same story. Our study confirms COVID-19 mRNA injections violated the Biological Weapons Convention, Nuremberg Code, Helsinki Declaration, and the U.S. Constitution. Well, the Nuremberg Code is one of the things that we kept hammering all the time. Not so much the code itself, but the code of ethics. Right? In that particular part where you do not coerce somebody into an experimental medication without informed consent. And it violated all three of those. People say, no, you had a choice. Yeah, you had a choice to take it or lose your job. That's coercion. There was no informed consent because the actual adverse event sheets were blank when they first rolled them out. I think for the first 6 or 7 months, they were absolutely blank until somebody forced them to put them in there. It's just insane. Populations were coerced into taking deadly experimental genetic gene transfer products without informed consent. These shots were engineered with dangerous gain-of-function traits, spike protein encoded with furin cleavage sites, HIV-like and SCBs, super antigen motifs, and mRNA recorded with synthetic-based aberrant proteins. Nice little picture here. But, yeah. So we did this to our own troops. We coerced our troops into taking this. And next thing you know, just like happened in the States when they forced their pilots to take it there, next thing you know, you had a bunch of pilots who were having heart issues. So what do? They reduced the threshold medically for them to fly with a bad heart, just like they've done here in Canada. Of course, you don't hear about this stuff, right? Because they're trying to hide the disaster they have done. And as we know, the morale in the Canadian Forces is in the freaking toilet because nobody can talk about the harms of the vaccine at work. And a lot of them that have been harmed, they won't have their harms recognized, even if they're tiny little harms. It's insane. Insane in the membrane. And then, of course, you have people that just, when being gaslit all the time, they lose their freaking minds. They either have to leave or they go insane. That's why morale is so bad. Aside from the fact that they are force-feeding migrants into the training system that can't speak English or French, and the translators, like has been shown to happen in Gagetown. And we are still 2 minutes away if they actually start. Oh, here's, oh yes, this story here from a paramedic. It's an old COVID story since we're on the COVID thing. I was working a hospital contract during the heart of COVID. The rules were brutal. Just one visit per patient in the ER. No exceptions. One night a dad showed up begging to get to see his dying son. The nurse at the front told him to wait. He pleaded. She got firm. She told him to sit down. His son was literally breathing his last breath just yards away. He lost it. His grief turned to rage, and security dragged him out before he ever got to say goodbye. That moment has never left me. Him screaming, seeing his son dying. The system said it was about safety. But safety without compassion isn't safety at all. It's cruelty pretending to be policy. I still wonder how many parents never got to say goodbye, how many souls died without the touch of those who love them most. The dad's tears, the security doing their job. The nurse pretending she was righteous. It's a tough memory. God bless. There's stories like this all the way through. The cruelty, the misery, and what makes it worse is the complete lack of accountability and not even anyone coming out and saying, oh, we're sorry. We're sorry we harmed so many people. We're sorry we killed so many people. Right? There's none of that. None of it whatsoever. And I think that's what gets most people most angry at all, is that they won't even acknowledge the harm that they've done. Because they know if they do, well, then that's it. And down the rabbit hole we go, and goes, oh my God, they finally admitted it. Now we can start going after them and make them accountable for the deaths and the misery and all the lives that they have robbed. Well, Mario Zelaya here has a post. Of course, the press, the mainstream media that is controlled by the liberals through the Canadian Quality Journalism Organization. They're still in statements by members. I'm just looking down here at the corner. So, because in a long-form interview last week with Northern Perspective, Pierre Poilievre mentioned about the shitty job the DRCMP was doing in their investigations. And this, of course, was all in committee. The proof is out there. But, it's never about the truth when it comes to the propaganda of the far left and their enablers and their minions. So they immediately started attacking Pierre Poilievre because he doesn't respect the RCMP. And we were like, well, the RCMP is not doing their job. Why wasn't Trudeau investigated for these blatant, obvious ethical violations? And what the hell's going on with SNC-Lavalin? I mean, it's not the first time SNC-Lavalin had been gotten in trouble for dirty dealings. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where SNC-Lavalin had to change its name. They're called something else now. And of course, the next big deal that they're involved in is building that train between Montreal and Toronto. That'll be the next big boondoggle for them to be involved in. Anyway, so Mario had a whole list here of stuff that he'd put in that happened since the governments came into power that the RCMP didn't deal with. So a Green Slush Fund, $1 billion, refused to hand RCMP documents and froze government. Yes, that was back in June 2024 when the Speaker of the House ordered the Liberals to hand over the SDTC documents unredacted over 5,000 pages that would probably prove all the money that they've been stealing. But, they refused, so they couldn't do any business all summer, and the RCMP refused to, because what they do is they go to the Privy Council, the council, right, the Liberals sitting up there in their ivory tower, and goes, hey, we want to see those documents. And they decide, no, you're not allowed to see the documents. And the RCMP goes, okay, and then they walk away. That's it. That was the extent of the investigation. SNC-Lavalin, Trudeau interfered, fired Attorney General, major corruption charges. And she was there. She testified. She said exactly what he did, his intimidation tactics. And she was like, well, no, these people break the law. We have to hold them accountable. Then he was like, well, we can't have that. So he fired her. Just obvious. And then the weed charity stuff. $112 million contract. Trudeau family paid. Morneau broke ethics law. Like, they actually funneled the money to his family members. Like, I did nothing. Lost infrastructure funds, billions unaccounted for in the big green transit projects. Oh yes, climate Barbie. What's her face? I think I have a recent post on that. I think we'll print that up again tomorrow. $22 billion missing? Like, was it 20,000 plus projects unaccounted for? 20,000. Like, it's just money laundering. They put all this money and then it's vanished. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. This was like 2 elections ago. And still, people vote them in. The elbows up crowd. Just no stopping them. ArriveCan Act. Yeah, $60 million for something that anybody could have. Why did we need that? We didn't need that. This was the whole vaccine passport thing. This was the entire covidity stupidity scam. Their first run at authoritarian rule to see how far we could be pushed before we lost our minds. And instead, they broke society. Foreign interference. China and others meddled in the 2019 and 2021 elections. Trudeau hid the reports. Yeah, oh yeah, they just released it after the election. Oh, sorry, our bad. We forgot to tell you beforehand that, we're actually run by the Chinese Communist Party here in the Liberal Party-run government of Canada, which is why our borders are broken, which is why crime is rampant and out of control, which is why We gave them $1 billion to build a ferry instead of, saying, hey, maybe we should help our Canadian industries instead and give them the contracts, even if we have to pay them more. At least it's our own business and our own jobs. But no, not at all. We're still in statement by members. Emergencies Act. Court ruled it illegal. Rights violated. No accountability. That's right. They are still appealing that, right? They were found to have invoked it illegally. And we knew they invoked it illegally. And the bloody thing is, they invoked the Emergencies Act, didn't even wait for royal assent, and started enacting it right away. All of it illegal. And there was no reason for them to do it, which we knew. It was just to clear the traffic in front of Parliament Hill. It was embarrassing them. It was embarrassing the Liberals so outright they couldn't believe that even after they froze their bank accounts and froze $10 million in assets, that they raised another $10 million 2 days later. When at the time the Liberal Party struggled to raise $8 million in 1 year for their party, here you had a group of protesters doing it not once but twice in a couple of days. Yeah, they were panicking big time. So, of course, as usual, they just sweep everything under the rug, and then they just add more and more and more BS and ethics rule breakings and more stuff to upset people, and so that people just can't keep track of all their lies and all the stuff that they've been doing. They are still reading statements by members. That only makes the question period run a little longer. Always a little later on Wednesday afternoons because the House doesn't sit till 2 o'clock. And then they do their the Single Canada, and then they read statements by members, which they always do before question period, and then they get into the question period. And what do we got next here? Sorry, LeBlanc Flamme deal. Family deal. $28 million contract to Cousins Company. Ethics breach ignored. Right, where's the RCMP? Keystone Cops? No? Oh, I know where you are. You're probably thinking about how you're going to organize a platoon to go and escort CFIA for the next bunch of hostages they need to kill. Aga Khan trip. Trudeau vacation near Billionaire Island. It's not so much that he... Oh, they are starting.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it will be an affordable budget and an ambitious Bank of doubled the debts. I will be meeting.
Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, today I will be meeting with the Prime Minister to discuss the 10th Liberal budget. We, the Conservatives, want an affordable budget so Canadians can have an affordable life. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister did not keep his promise to spend less. He doubled the deficit he inherited, and now the inflation rates are climbing. In fact, all measures are higher than the Bank of Canada target. Will the Prime Minister agree to what we're looking for an affordable life for Canadians? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it will be an affordable budget and an ambitious one. Affordable for operational expenditures. We will clean up operational expenditures, but we will be investing in Canada. This will be the largest investment in our country, in the history of our country.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that is exactly what this Liberal government promised 10 years ago. But what's the result? They doubled the debt, they doubled wait lines at food banks, doubled the cost of housing, and investments have dropped, more so here in Canada than in any other G7 country and in the history of Canada. Today, there are 2 million Canadians who need to turn to food banks. And food inflation is skyrocketing. Will the Prime Minister learn from his lessons, reduce deficits, and eliminate hidden taxes on food? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I've just said, this will be a cleaning up of operational expenditures for the first time in a decade in this country. Second, with respect to inflation, it will be the 21st month in a row that the rate of inflation is in keeping with the Bank of Canada's target range. That's 2.4, and the range is 1 to 3.
Mr. Speaker, today the Prime Minister and I will meet to discuss the 10th Liberal budget deficit. Our priority as Conservatives is an affordable budget for an affordable cost of living for the Canadian people. The Prime Minister promised he would spend less, but his deficit spending is 100% more. He promised he'd be judged by the prices at the grocery store. Well, they're now rising at 2 times the Bank of Canada's target, and inflation is now once again out of control. Will the Prime Minister learn from the inflationary, costly failures of the 10 years of Liberal government and accept our plan for an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this budget will get operational spending under control. It will balance our spending over the next 3 years. But we're not going to stop there. We are going to invest in this country. We're going to have the biggest investment in this country in generations, the largest capital spend in generations, the most ambitious trade diversification in our nation's history. We will do everything to help Canadians get ahead, as they have gotten ahead every single month since I became Prime Minister.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Never bought groceries lately.
Canadians, according to this Prime Minister, have never had it so good. If you're that single mother out there walking down the grocery aisle looking at prices rise before your eyes, if you're that senior choosing between eating and heating, if you're one of the countless Canadians who see that roasted coffee is up 41% since the Prime Minister took office, that nuts and seeds up 15%, that food price inflation is now double the target, or if you're one of those 2 million people that are lined up at food banks every single month, the Prime Minister says you've never had it so good. How is it possible for this Prime Minister to be so costly and so out of touch with reality?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, it's time once again for our economic lesson. Okay. Getting ahead means your wages grow faster than inflation. Let's look at the relationship between inflation and deficits. The inflation rate in Canada, the food inflation rate, is the G7 average, and we have the lowest deficit in the G7. What the government is going to do is use that deficit to grow this economy like it's never seen before.
Hear, hear, well done.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So the Prime Minister says to that single mother, that small business owner, that senior I just referenced out there, that he needs to give you economic lessons. You are the one out there who are watching prices rise right before.
Yes, the Honourable Member knows to speak through the chair, and there was a lot of noise around that, so if the Honourable Member could just start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is now lecturing Canadians who are lined up at food banks, telling them that they've never had it so good. That if only they appreciated all the many promises that he's made, promises that he hasn't even begun to keep, that they would then be appreciative of the fact that here we have fresh and frozen beef is up 14%, fresh and frozen cut chucks up 12%, frozen meats up 11%, coffee grains up 40%. Does he believe that people paying these exorbitant prices should be thankful for his economic lessons?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we promised to cut taxes for every Canadian. 22 million Canadians have their taxes cut. We promised to cut taxes on first-time home builders. They've been cut. We promised to cut the carbon tax. It's been cut. You weren't here. It's been cut. And we promised us to build this country strong. November 4th, this House will have a choice. Are you with us for those single mothers? Are you with us for those farmers? Are you with us to build this country strong so they can get ahead?
Again, I would remind honourable members, it's through the chair. The honourable leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I think he meant to say, are you with us for the bankers and bondholders who will be collecting record interest payments on the newly doubled national debt? The Prime Minister has literally doubled the deficits that he inherited from the Liberal government, deficits that were already exorbitant and out of control. And what do you know? Inflation immediately started to rise. 2 of the 4 measures are outside of the acceptable Bank of Canada range. All 4 measures are above the Bank of Canada's 2% target. The more he spends, the more things cost. Does he acknowledge at least that every dollar he spends comes out of the pockets of hardworking Canadians?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are putting more dollars in the pockets of hardworking Canadians because we cut taxes on 22 million for 22 million Canadians. Mr. Speaker, our focus is putting even more dollars in the pockets of hardworking Canadians. That is why we will have the most ambitious capital investment program this country's ever seen, the most ambitious home building program this country has ever seen, the biggest investment in defense and our industrial capacity that this country has ever seen, and the biggest and most effective climate competitiveness strategy that this country has ever seen.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, Paccard and Sainte-Thérèse de Blainville, producing trucks, just had to let go of 300 employees due to the tariffs, the punishing tariffs from the Trump regime. 3 months after the elections that were supposed to solve all of these issues with respect to tariffs, can the Prime Minister reassure this company and the employees that no matter what, the employees and the company will be protected? The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, we are disappointed by the situation at Paccard, at Stellantis and at GM in the automobile sector. We already have the best agreement with the U.S. We have the lowest tariffs for trucks and cars. But we are working with the Americans. We are negotiating with them. We will reassure workers at Paccard. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. If that's the best deal, Mr. Speaker, I would not want to see the worst. And this raises a lot of concerns. People need some degree of certainty. Can the Prime Minister assure us, beyond any reasonable doubt, especially after the loss of these 3% taxes on the web giants, that the cultural exception will be protected in the tariff negotiations and that supply management will be protected entirely, including processing and in all respects, with no compromise? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I can assure this House that we will protect supply management in our negotiations. We will protect Quebec and Canadian culture in the negotiations. That's it. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. That's it, but you have to say completely. First, we should discuss the issue of forestry. Now we have to be beyond the level of protecting it. We need to save it. The forestry industry is subjected to a crisis that is worse than in 2008. Shutdowns, closures, hundreds of jobs have just been lost in Saint-Michel-des-Saints. Can the Prime Minister guarantee that faced with these 45% tariffs, there will be a plan and a complete plan to save the forestry regions in Quebec? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, there is a plan. There are initiatives. The Industry Minister just announced an initiative that will provide funding for the forestry sector in Quebec and throughout Canada. This is through the Canadian Development Bank. There's also the Strategic Renewal Fund within the forestry sector, and that is a complete plan.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has tried to deny the existence of continued hidden Liberal taxes on groceries. But Canada's leading food price expert, the food professor, Sylvain Charlebois, has said the exact opposite. He says, and I quote, "The industrial carbon tax, the worst part is still there." He was referring to the fact that farmers pay the tax on the steel that goes into their farm equipment, combines, tractors, and bins, and on their fertilizer. Is the Prime Minister really going to expect Canadians who can't pay their grocery bills to believe that the cost of the carbon tax on our farmers does not get passed on at the grocery shelf?
The Right Honourable Prime
Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to quote independent research, Mr. Speaker, of the Canadian Climate Institute, which finds that the impact of the industrial carbon tax. Now, wait for it. The net impact of the industrial carbon tax on food prices. It is on average around 0%.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister expects us to believe government-funded so-called experts paid to push his agenda instead of believing in the obvious fact that when you tax the things that go into making food, you tax all who buy the food. This is a Prime Minister who says he's a great expert. But he told CTV Nova Scotia that Canadians don't use steel anymore. Does he not acknowledge, does he not know that there is steel in farm tractors, farm combines, farm bins, and other farm equipment? And does he not think, for God's sakes, that those costs get passed on to consumers?
To end as close to 3 as possible, but it might not be possible today. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The folks are feisty over there today. What I will say is we've been hearing all week, all month, since the beginning of this session about these imaginary taxes. These imaginary taxes in the brain of the Leader of the Opposition, but that no one else has seemed to manage. What I will tell him is that there will be a budget, there will be some numbers and some tables that he can read there where he will not find taxes on food. There is no tax on food. There will never be a tax on food.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, first, we're all disappointed to learn that Liberals think that Canadians who see grocery prices rising at records rates are just imagining things, Mr. Speaker. And further disappointed to see that this Prime Minister cannot stand in his place and address real questions about the cost of groceries for Canadians. It's not just the industrial carbon tax, Mr. Speaker. It is also the government's fuel standard, which, according to their own department, is going to increase the cost of fuel by 17 cents on the farmers and the truckers who bring us our food. Does he really expect consumers to believe that won't?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And what's not imaginary is that Canadians know who they can trust. In fact, time and again, they've looked at these Conservatives across the aisle vote against their very interests, whether it's things like the school nutrition program, whether it's things like early learning and childcare, which, oh, by the way, Mr. Speaker, has got the average cost of childcare down to $16 a day. Mr. Speaker, these are real savings for real Canadian families, and the only thing imaginary is their own perception.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it is really disappointed this Prime Minister refuses to stand up and debate the real cost of his taxes on Canadian food consumers. It's the same thing with the auto sector. He promised that he would negotiate a win. He promised to get a rapid deal. Still no win, still no deal. Elbows gone missing, and so are the jobs. Today we saw Paccard au Québec. Il y a 300.
In Quebec, 300 jobs lost at Paccard.
That it was Ingersoll, the Cami plant, and before that the GM plant in Oshawa. Is the Prime Minister selling out the auto sector in his attempt to back down to the U.S. President?
Yeah. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's no I in team, but apparently there's an I in Conservative. Team in Conservative. There's a team on these benches. This government is in a position with the best accord with the Americans. We have the lowest tariff on the auto sector.
Yeah, the Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, there's no I in team, but there is an I in Conservative. There is a team, and there is a team in Liberal that can answer these questions. And this is what the Liberal team has accomplished. We have the best deal with the Americans of any country. We have the lowest tariff on our automobiles and trucks of any country, but we are not satisfied. That is why we are negotiating a new accord on steel, on aluminum, on energy, and on auto.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The question was about jobs, and he responds with a spelling bee, Mr. Speaker. This is the guy who's supposed to negotiate a win for us, a guy who said he'd have a deal by July 21st. He's the guy who said he's had his elbows up, and since that time, his elbows have gone missing, Mr. Speaker. The Canadian people need those jobs. He promised he would protect those jobs. Will he stand up today, look the auto workers in Ontario and Quebec in the eye, and tell them why he abandoned them and sold them out?
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade.
Mr. Speaker, our government has no difficulty looking at the hard-working women and men who work in our auto industry and in industries across the country to say that we're fighting for their jobs. We're standing up to the Americans for unjustified tariffs. We're negotiating what we think will be agreements that will be in the best interest of Canadian workers and the Canadian economy. And what we're also doing at the same time, Mr. Speaker, is taking steps to support those very industries in Canada. That's what we were elected to do. That's what the Prime Minister's doing with everybody on this side of the House.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That was not what this Prime Minister promised. He promised that he would negotiate a win. He promised that he would have a deal by July 21st. Neither of those things happened. He went to the auto sector and told the workers that not only would he protect their jobs, but there would be an all-in-Canada supply chain that is being dismantled right before our eyes. And it's not just his trade negotiating failures, it's his EV mandate, which has slammed the brakes on any investment in auto manufacturing in this country. If the Prime Minister take personal responsibility for this and announce today an end to the EV mandate so we can get our workers back to jobs.
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
When it comes to the auto workers, they know that we have their back and that we will fight for every single job in this country in the auto sector. You know why? Because the Canadian automakers and the Canadian auto workers are actually the best in the world. And therefore, we will make sure that Stellantis is held to account. We are meeting with GM tomorrow Auto in Ottawa, bringing back a model into the plant in Ingersoll, and we will be there also for the employees at Paccard and Sainte-Thérèse. Thank you.
Okay, what about Gould?
Okay, so we have, yeah, I think.
Okay. Excuse me, l'honorable député.
The honourable member.
Wait. Okay, the honourable leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's failures and capitulations are not just vis-a-vis the United States. He promised he would stand up for Western Canadian farmers, but canola tariffs have now more than doubled. The Prime Minister, in response to this, has given the communist regime in China the billion-dollar taxpayer-funded loans so that we can buy Chinese-made ships. And now he's announced that he's further conceded by removing tariffs on Chinese-made steel. Why is it that in addition to selling out the auto workers, he sold out our farmers and rewarded foreign dictatorships that target them with tariffs?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our new government was elected to expand and diversify over international trade with reliable partners. We are in a volatile global economy. We are defending our trade interests. We are expanding into new markets, and we are working alongside our farmers in every aspect. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, service at the Canada Revenue Agency is worse than ever. Yesterday, the Auditor General confirmed that 8 years after our office issued a damning report on services at the agency, the situation has not improved. It has worsened. Only 5% of callers were able to speak to an agent within the 15-minute service standard. 5%. The Liberals can't say they were unaware because the Auditor General warned them of this as early as 2017, and they did nothing about it. After 8 years of inaction, when will the Liberals take responsibility? People are tired of waiting. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're taking action, Mr. Speaker. Already the Minister of Finance ordered the CRA, demanded that the CIA, the Canada Revenue Agency, look at the work that it is doing and be in a position to respond to the needs. These are very important measures. The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, things are not improving at the Canada Revenue Agency. Yesterday, the Auditor General confirmed that they're not even answering the phone, but it gets worse. The Auditor General revealed that if you do manage to get through to the agency, the chances of getting the right answers to your questions are 17%. 17%, that means you have as much chance of getting a good answer from the CRA as you do of getting an answer in French from the Prime Minister. When is the Minister going to solve this fiasco? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, we did not wait for the Auditor General's report to take action. We sent clear instructions to the CRA so that it would change its way of doing business to... What a show. Everyone's talking over... You feel as though you're in a daycare over here. So we are taking action, Mr. Speaker. We're going to improve services at the CRA. The Honourable Member from Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, in Quebec, rents have risen by almost 10%, twice the Canadian average, when we know that Canadians spend about 50% of their income to house themselves and feed themselves. This is concerning. In the meantime, the Liberal government is continuing to feed these inflationary costs for groceries, gas, housing. After 10 years of deficits and broken promises, families in Montmorency-Charlevoix and in Quebec can't take anymore. When will the Prime Minister take control of public finances and make life affordable for Canadians? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform the House that Inflation in Canada is under control, 2.4%, Mr. Speaker. The target range is between 1 and 3 at the Bank of Canada. We are at 2.4%. 21 months it's been like that now. Second, Mr. Speaker, there is no relationship between the government deficits and inflation. Inflation is a global event, Mr. Speaker. COVID, war in Ukraine, increased costs of gas. Does that mean anything to you?
Encore une fois, on ne s'adresse pas directement au président.
We would ask you to speak through the Speaker. The Honourable Member from Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, in Montmorency-Charlevoix, children, seniors, and business owners just can't make ends meet. Economists are saying this is a recession. Cost of housing has increased, an increase of 10% in Quebec, whereas the Liberal costs are causing SMEs to be struggling. What they promised was to help the middle class, but they've actually done the very opposite. When will the deficit, not the cost of the deficit, no longer be borne by these families? When will they do something about these irresponsible expenditures? The Honourable Minister, in light of the exchanges in this question period, it is clear that economists are actually on this side of the House, not on that side. Now, when it comes time to talk about families in Montmorency-Charlevoix, what does he have to say to them when he voted against the child care benefit that helps thousands of them, when he voted against the dental care plan, or the Leader of the Opposition doesn't even think it exists? That's 6 million Canadians who have access to this. We have no lectures to hear from them when it comes time to help Canadian families. That's what we do on a daily basis.
The Honourable Member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
Mr. Speaker, when this Liberal government creates deficits by spending more than what they receive in taxes, that creates inflation, costing Canadians more at the grocery store, more at the gas station, and more everywhere else. New inflation data confirms Canadians are being crushed by these Liberal deficits. All 3 core inflation measures are alarming. In just the last year, grocery inflation is up 4% and rent inflation is up by nearly 5%. When will these Liberals get the inflationary deficits under control to make life more affordable for Canadians instead of trying to outspend Justin Trudeau?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, our government is focused on making the investments that are going to help Canadians get ahead, whether it's investing in major projects, whether it's investing in affordable housing, whether it's investing in early learning and childcare so people can make the best wages possible. Our government is focused on one thing, and that's Canadian success. Canadians know that too, Mr. Speaker. They don't trust those guys to protect their interests. They don't trust those guys for the long-term thinking that results in better outcomes for their families and their children. That's why we're on this side of the House.
The Honourable Member for Mission Matsqui Abbotsford.
Speaker, I represent one of the most trade-exposed regions in Canada, and Canadian manufacturers are being crushed by the industrial carbon tax and rising inflation. From steel, aerospace, and auto parts to food processing, every step in the supply chain is costing more. Manufacturers can't compete when the cost of everything keeps rising and businesses are burdened with more and more red tape. Will the Prime Minister finally admit that his industrial carbon tax policy and red tape policies like the plastic registry are unnecessary burdens doing nothing to improve competitiveness or to protect the environment?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Of course, we'll be there to protect jobs, to create jobs and attract talent and investment. Right. And when it comes to creating jobs, particularly in the manufacturing sector, we're doing this through our new defense industrial strategy, which will be about buy, build, and partner. And of course, we'll do that through major projects. Across the country, we've already announced 5 major projects worth $60 billion in private capital. We're coming up with the next step with new projects before Grey Cup. By the way, Grey Cup, November 16, Mr. Speaker.
The The honourable member for Mission Matsquiab.
Mr. Speaker, if the industry minister had to be burdened with the paperwork and the bills that small businesses are facing today, she would act differently in this House. Take the food and beverage industry, for example. They run on razor-thin margins, and after 10 years of Liberal deficits, food inflation continues to rise, 4% this year. That's forcing restaurants to charge more and make less. Is this government willing to address any of the costs that small businesses are facing, or will it keep borrowing, spending, and driving inflation even higher while job creators are left paying the price?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister for Women, Gender Equality, Tourism and Small Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government understands the importance of Canadian industries, and that is why, Mr. Speaker, we introduced the Buy Canadian policy to strengthen supply chains and support small businesses with the opportunities to succeed right here in Canada. We're also supporting small businesses hard hit by the tariffs, expanding the Business Development Bank of Canada loans by up to $5 million, and launched the $5 billion Strategic Response Fund so that businesses can adopt and pivot during these challenging times. And Mr. Speaker, we're also reducing red tape, unlike what the member just said just now. Mr. Speaker, these measures are going to support Canadian industries, support Canadian workers, and support our small businesses. And Mr. Speaker, happy Small Business Week.
The honourable member for Carleton.
Of the RCMP. My former MP and the current leader of the Conservative Party recklessly criticized the RCMP. His caucus doesn't want to talk about it, and even a former Conservative minister stated how grossly imprecise his comments were. Can the Minister of Public Safety reiterate the importance of the RCMP's independence, which ensures the protection of all Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
I want to thank the member for Carleton for this very important question, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition has made some irresponsible statements relating to the RCMP. As you're aware, Mr. Speaker, the RCMP play an integral role in the safety and security of Canadians. It's an independent organization that abides by the rule of law. For the Leader of the Opposition to impinge the integrity of the RCMP is beyond the seat that he holds, Mr. Speaker, and I demand that he unequivocally retract those statements and seek an apology from the RCMP, the men and women that serve this country, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Middlesex, London.
Speaker, Cami families are getting pink slips, and the auto sector in Canada is hanging by a thread. The Liberal EV mandate is a bumper sticker, not a plan. A pipe dream that costs billions in taxpayer subsidies, and all for nothing. Over 6,000 Canadian families' livelihoods are at stake right now as auto manufacturers move their businesses to the U.S. So will the Prime Minister tell unemployed auto workers why his failed policies that help send their jobs south?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Let me be clear, what is happening to the auto sector is actually linked to the American tariffs. When it comes to the EV mandates, the Minister of Environment, myself, of course, with the Prime Minister, we've been working with the industries to find solutions. And by the way, right now, they've been paused. So when it comes to the workers themselves, we will be there to support them. We will make sure that Stellantis is held to account. And meanwhile, we're working with GM to bring at the Ingersoll plant a new model, because obviously these workers need to be supported, and we will build One Canada strong.
The honourable member for Middlesex, London.
Mr. Speaker, that's just more talk from the Liberals that does nothing to help people. Cami workers in Ingersoll are worried about paying their mortgages and putting food on the tables. Right. After handing out billions in subsidies, Cami's indefinite layoffs, they come at the cost of the Liberals' failure to negotiate protections for workers. When Cami bleeds, so do part suppliers, tool and die makers, truckers, diners, and other small businesses across Middlesex, London, and southwestern Ontario. So will the Prime Minister look the auto workers in the eye and explain to them why he failed to protect their jobs?
The Honourable
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Prime Minister is working with Doug Ford. I'm working with Vic Vitelli, and we're also working with Unifor to bring back a new motor at Ingersoll. And we will make sure to put pressure on GM as they need to honor their contracts. And meanwhile, we will make sure that indeed the workers that we look in the eyes have confidence that we're fighting for their jobs.
The Honourable Member for Brampton West.
Mr. Speaker, Stellantis got $15 billion of taxpayer money. That's over $1,000 from every Canadian household. And what's the result? 3,000 Canadian workers are losing their job as production moves to the U.S. If that's the Liberal job protection, Canadians should be alarmed. Will the Prime Minister tell us exactly how many Canadian jobs are guaranteed in that $15 billion deal? Or did the Liberal just write a blank check to protect corporate profits, not Canadian workers?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Speaker, I understand the frustration on the part of my colleague who's from the region. That being said, I think we have to set facts extremely straight.
That's right.
Because obviously the support to the sector was linked to the fact that there would be production of batteries. As the production has only started, obviously $15 billion of federal taxpayers' money have not been invested. What is at stake, though, is that we negotiated very well the contracts to support the Brampton plant, and therefore the opposition, including the Conservatives, will have access to these contracts in committee, and they will see that we have the workers back.
The Honourable Member for Essex.
Mr. Speaker, the Finance Minister handed $10 billion to Stellantis to create 2,500 jobs in Windsor, but now they're threatening to ship 3,000 jobs from Brampton to the U.S. These Liberals have abandoned Canadian auto workers who don't know how they'll provide for their families and their futures. What job guarantees do the Liberals actually negotiate? And if there's nothing to hide, why won't they release the contracts outlining the specific details of the Canada-wide job guarantees? Good question.
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Knows very well that we're working to support auto workers and the sector in Canada. There's over 100 years, Mr. Speaker, of proud history in making vehicles in Canada. That's a manufacturing sector that's important to every part of the country. That's why not only are we taking measures with the Government of Ontario and partners across the country, unions, to support the industry and those workers, we're also negotiating with the Americans so that we can get a deal that's in the interest of the long-term security of Canada's auto sector.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent Akiawanrock. Mr. Speaker, for 60 years, PACCAR has been manufacturing cars in Saint-Thérèse-de-Blainville. Today, 300 workers learned that they would be losing their job. That is the sad reality of Liberal policies. They talk a lot, but they act little. These people were elected under a slogan of elbows up and a promise that all tariffs would be lifted. But what happened? 300 people lost their job. What will the Prime Minister actually do to convince Trump that these tariffs make no sense? And what will he say to these workers? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a lot of respect for my colleague, and I know the PACCAR plant very well. I actually visited it with the new member for Thérèse de Blainville recently. I spoke with the head of the plant lately. Bad news has gone out. We will not accept this. We will continue to fight to ensure that our workers in Saint-Thérèse are not only supported, because Saint-Thérèse is a Quebec manufacturing hub, but we will also work with the province of Quebec and municipalities throughout the country. We should be buying more trucks made here in Canada. The same can be said for buses. We will protect our jobs.
Member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
Yesterday, the
Auditor General delivered a scathing report on the state of childcare. Despite spending billions of dollars from this Liberal government, the childcare plan, their shortages of available childcare has gotten worse over the last 5 years. StatsCan showed the proportion of parents that use childcare and reported difficulty finding it rose from 36% in 2020 to nearly 50% in 2025. Wow. Only Liberals could spend more and get less. Will the Prime Minister admit that his childcare plan is yet another broken Liberal promise?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, it's the sort of height of irony that a Conservative MP who voted against childcare is now criticizing childcare that exists across this country. What the Auditor General said is that provinces and territories have to do a better job in terms of reporting. We're working with provinces and territories to make sure that we grow the number of spaces. But let me leave you with this, Mr. Speaker. $16.50 a day. That's the average price families are paying for childcare, and that's a huge savings for Canadian families.
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Typical Liberals blame everyone but themselves. They committed to build 250,000 new childcare spaces in 5 years. 3 years in, less than half. Worse yet, they don't know how many spaces are going unused. They don't know how much unmet demand exists, all while using funky, inconsistent math. Provinces are warning that this $10 system could collapse when federal funding ends, with inflation and staffing shortages piling up. How can the Prime Minister justify blowing through billions with families waiting on waiting lists?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, again, I'm really heartened to hear about the support that that member has for early learning and childcare. It's a real switch, Mr. Speaker, given that you voted against it time and again. But I will say this, Mr. Speaker, I have a meeting with my counterpart this afternoon with the Minister from Alberta to talk about exactly that, how we take the next steps together, because as that member would know, jurisdiction over childcare lives in provinces and territories. We have funded this system to such an extent that, Mr. Speaker, the average family is paying $16.50 a day. What a savings for Canadian families.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General concluded the Canadian Armed Forces did not recruit and train the members it needs to meet operational requirements. She further said that our forces will struggle to respond to threats, emergencies, and conflicts and accomplish their missions. The report also revealed that on this trajectory, 13% of occupations are at risk of never being fully slated, and another 69% won't get there for over 10 years. Our adversaries aren't waiting for Canada to get our house in order. How does the Defence Minister expect our armed forces to meet our international obligations and protect Canada without the personnel?
The Honourable Minister of Defence.
Mr. Speaker, we thank the Auditor General for her work. As we rebuild, rearm and reinvest in Canada's military, we're making changes to our recruitment processes to get more people in the door and faster. We've modernized our recruitment process by introducing a probationary period, streamlining the security clearance process, updating the aptitude test requirements, changing medical standards. We've also given our forces a very well-deserved pay increase. Mr. Speaker, recruitment has reached a 10-year high, but there's more to do.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
But he let 100,000 Canadians slip through his fingers. The Auditor General also reported yesterday the situation gets worse for our troops after they enlist. She said military housing is, and I quote, the kind of conditions you and I wouldn't want to live in, nor should we expect our troops to either. The National Defence Committee came to the same conclusions in the last Parliament. Nothing has changed, and the report confirmed the wait list for military housing is growing to over 7,000. How can the Defence Minister sleep at night knowing our troops are living rough, and all he can do is re-announce old Liberal promises for 600 new housing units, but our troops need 7,000 now?
The Honourable Minister of Defence.
Mr. Speaker, I sleep very well at night because of the incredible women and men in the Canadian Armed Forces. That's who I count on. That's who I count on. We're rearming, Mr. Speaker. We're rebuilding and we're reinvesting in the Canadian Armed Forces. The member knows this. When it comes to CAF housing, we're looking at new solutions through private sector partnerships to give our forces a safe and affordable place to call home. Last week, for the first time in history, we acquired a brand new, privately developed 37-unit apartment complex located near CFP Esquimalt in 5 weeks, Mr. Speaker. This is just one of the ways we are accelerating processes to get our staff members in the House.
The Honourable Member for Madawaska-Restigouche. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week is the National Week to recognize early childhood educators in official language minority communities. These are professionals who help our little ones learn and grow. Early childhood is crucial to learn the French language and build a French-speaking identity. Could the minister talk about what our government is doing to support ECEs and boost this workforce so essential that drives our affordable childcare system nationwide? The Honourable Minister of Employment and Families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank my colleague from Madawaska-Restigouche for highlighting the exceptional work of early childhood educators throughout the country. Our government has invested over $1 billion to hire, train, and retain more ECEs. We are working with provinces and territories to improve their wages and their training, because when we support early childhood educators, we also support families and the future of our economy. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, it's embarrassing. The Prime Minister talks about economic lessons when his public services and procurement minister could give lessons in corruption. After 10 years of Liberal government waste has gone up by 66%. The responses we are getting today show that they understood nothing about balanced budgets. When will we get over to a period of proper economic management? The Honourable Minister responsible for national revenue. You know what's embarrassing? The official opposition leader who talks about jailing his political adversaries. The official opposition leader who is undermining the rule of law in the country. The official opposition leader denigrating the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And you know what else is embarrassing? The opposition leader is not only not apologizing, 100 of his members of parliament are refusing to denounce these completely inappropriate remarks. His predecessor in Richmond-Arthabaska would have some lessons to teach him. He should follow his example and call out his leader.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
A business that fails to meet its service standards 95% of the time would go bankrupt. But under this Liberal government, that's the standard at the CRA. And what's their answer? Throw more money at the problem. Costs are up 70%, but still 8.6 million calls are being deflected, and 83% of the answers to individual tax questions are wrong. Even the CRA chatbot got questions wrong 2/3 of the time. It's hopeless. If this Liberal government can't even manage its own revenue agency, how can Canadians trust it to ever balance the budget?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve timely, reliable, and accurate service from the CRA. And that's why we thank the Auditor General for her report. Earlier this fall, we embarked upon a 100-day plan to strengthen service, improve access, and eliminate unacceptable delays. And we have good news. Since the launch of the plan, CRA call center service levels have more than doubled. 89% of Canadians getting an answer within 15 minutes. Wow. That is good news. This report will help the CRA build on significant service improvements it has made since September. It will also help guide our government to work as
the Honourable Member for Swift Current Grasslands Kindersley.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General report shows CRA had a huge increase in deflected calls from 1 million to 8 million in 1 year. Wow. People in the Southwest wait hours, sometimes days, to reach a service agent, and then they have to deal with huge delays in resolving their file, even if the CRA made the mistake. CRA fails to meet its own service standards after already lowering them, and the odds are high that the agents will give you inaccurate information. But their budget went up 70%. So why is that with these Liberals? Canadians always pay more but get less.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. The CRA is providing accurate information to Canadians in nearly all cases. The audit looked at a sample of 167 calls from last spring before we launched our 100-day plan to fix survey service. The CRA reviews over 100,000 calls every year for accuracy and has found that more than 93% are accurate for inquiries related to taxpayer files. We are focused on delivering service for Canadians. We will get this right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg South.
Well, Mr. Speaker, cap paper is an integral part of Northern Ontario's economic security, supporting over 2,500 skilled local careers in the region. But a few weeks ago, the community was rocked by the news that cap paper would be shuttering its doors, devastating for the community and for workers and families throughout Northern Ontario. Can the Minister of Industry please tell this House how we are supporting cap paper and other industries, and how our government is standing up for skilled careers and stronger communities?
Honourable Minister of Industry.
Merci. I would like to thank my honourable colleague for his hard work, and I would like also to thank the Minister for Jobs and also the Minister for Natural Resources, because we worked together to lay down the groundwork for cap paper to continue its operations in months ahead. Through the conversation we had with cap paper, one thing became clear: they're the heartbeat of Kapuskasing and a vital part of the community. So that is why we came to the table with solutions. We were able to protect the jobs, 300 of them, and all the jobs around Kapuskasing linked to the mill, 2,500 jobs as well.
Excellent. The Honourable Member for Kenora Kiwetinong.
After years of talk, this Prime Minister is breaking his promise to get shovels in the ground when it comes to the constantly delayed Ring of Fire in Northern Ontario, Mr. Speaker. Thousands of jobs and billions of dollars are on the line, yet the Liberals refuse to move this project ahead. The roadway won't even be built until 2028, and the Liberals ignored this project completely on their national priority list, a huge slap in the face to people across Northern Ontario. So, Mr. Speaker, will the Liberals stop with the delays, stop breaking their promise, and get shovels in the ground so that our region can get to work?
Yeah. The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Thunder Bay, Superior North, and the Minister of Jobs and Families, I agree with the member that the Ring of Fire is an extremely important deposit in Northern Ontario. We've been working with the province of Ontario for years to ensure that we have a plan to move forward, and we've been working with the affected First Nations in that riding, which is mine, and we'll continue to focus on the opportunity that the Ring of Fire presents for not just Northern Ontario, but all of Canada. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Rosemont-La Petite-Patrie. At Trudeau Airport, the New Rest Corporation had a meal contract with Air Canada. They knew that they would lose their contract, but they still brought over temporary foreign workers with closed work permits, 3-year work permits. A closed work permit is a terrible thing. It prevents people from changing employers. So now 50 people have gotten the rug completely pulled out from under them. They have no job, and they aren't allowed to find a new one. Will the Immigration Minister listen to Labour leaders and provide a new open work permit so these people can find new jobs? The Honourable Minister of Immigration and Citizenship. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to address this situation. The Temporary Foreign Worker Program seeks to let Canadian employers hire foreign workers when there are no Canadians or permanent residents who are qualified to do the job. We will continuing to bring down the number of temporary foreign workers, and we will work with the member opposite. We are here to protect Canadians, but we are also here to protect employers and businesses who require foreign workers. Thank you. This concludes question period for today.
Je désire informer la...
I'd like to inform the House that the volume of earpieces has now been reset.
All right, that's it. That's it for the House for today. Once again, just like yesterday, no points of order following the day in the House, and no guests up in the gallery to point out that are there. So as we saw, we had like 82 lies. If you guys want to know how we track our lies, it's in the description down below the video. Maximum of 3 lies per person speaking. Basically, whenever they exaggerate, whenever they assume, and whenever they actually lie. Like that retard over on the Liberal side that, especially yesterday as well, and today she repeats the same thing. When it's explained to them exactly how the taxes are affecting food prices, and they just turn around and lie like a rug. No such taxes on food. And then it's explained to them again. When you tax the farmer to actually produce stuff, he's got to put that price downstream so he can recover his money. You don't think that affects the food price? No, our experts say that has no impact on it whatsoever. These people are morons, gaslighting morons. And the problem is that most of their Liberal voters actually believe them. Yes, well, on our way out the door, let's have a look at one of the videos I put together, and we'll finish off the stream with this. It is about our safety minister, I believe. Let me double check here. Is that what it is? Yes. The most dangerous man in Canada. And thanks again for coming out. Please leave us a comment, like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Rumble. We stream on Rumble every day that the House is sitting. And in between, we usually put out some other videos. Thank you all for coming out. Enjoy the video. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I understand the Liberals want to protect the Liberal minister. I'm not here for that. I'm here for answers. Let's keep going here. Minister, 600 foreign nationals were set to be deported. 70% of them committed violent crimes, including sex assaults. Where are they?
Thank you, Mr. Caputo. Thank you for that question. As you're aware, the Canada Border Services Agency is tasked with removals of those who are deemed to be
Minister, I'm sorry, we don't need a preamble. We just need an answer. Where are the 600 people who were set to be deported? Maybe I'll ask this way. Do you know where they are? Yes or no?
Mr. Chair, if I may respond to this question in whole. So, as you're aware, the CBSA is tasked with the removal of those who are inadmissible to Canada. In this particular case, we have been ensuring that removals have been taking place at an unprecedented rate.
I asked about the 600 people, Minister. I didn't ask about removals at an unprecedented rate. Do you know where they are? Yes or no?
Well, there is a set of.
I'll take that as a no, Minister. Let's move on.
Let's be clear, Mr. Caputo. There are a number of individuals who are in the process of being removed. So of the 600 you talk about, there is a breakdown, and I'd like to invite Ms. Gorman to respond to this.
You are the minister. You are the expert. The Globe and Mail reported 600 people are missing. You're the minister. You're expected to know this. The buck stops with you. We have 6 minutes. You don't know. Let's move on. You promised 1,000 new border officers for the CBSA. How many have been hired?
So right now, as you're aware, we are in the process of ensuring that the 1,000 new CBSA officers will be trained appropriately.
Again, Minister, you're answering questions I'm not asking. I asked how many were hired. Simple number.
Mr. Caputo, I'm not here for your TikTok videos, okay? Like I'm here to.
No, and Minister, I'm here for Canadians.
I'm here to answer questions.
Mr. Minister, let's just me
these conversations are important, but they need to be understandable.
I'll commence. First of all, TikTok is banned in Canada. Second, I don't have an account. I'm here for Canadians. I'm here for answers. You can obfuscate. I will continue to press forward. RCMP didn't know how many of the 1,000 officers that they promised were hired. Just a number. How many?
So I will invite the RCMP
No,
Commissioner
I want to hear it
to
from you,
answer
Minister.
this
From
question.
you, Minister.
But I'm not responsible for hiring of the officers.
You're not. I beg your pardon. You are the minister.
I'm sorry. This is not useful because it is obviously impossible for anyone
Mr.
listening
Chair, I'll
to
be very clear. I'm asking the minister these questions. The buck stops with him. I'm not asking for him to defer to anybody. If he doesn't know the answer, just say it. Just the other day on the on a recording, he said, "Don't ask me to explain the logic to you." He was perfectly capable of saying it then. He's capable of saying it now. Minister, do you know the number of the 1,000 promised RCMP officers? Yes or no?
Speaker, the RCMP are preparing to hire 1,000, including ensuring that training facilities at depot are equipped, because this will be solely for federal policing, and the work at depot to ensure that the right modules, the right level of training is in place is currently being prepared, and as soon as they're able to recruit, they will be hired and they will be on our streets.
Okay, that is a zero, I take it then, because you wouldn't give us some number. Now, Mr., you said in leaked audio that the gun buyback wouldn't work. Do you stand by that?
That is not what I said, Mr. Caputo.
Well, you could have fooled me, Minister. You actually said, quote, don't ask me to explain the logic to you. You talked about how it's only been 3 weeks on the job. I'm not an expert on this, right? I'm not an expert. The tone that you said was that this wouldn't work, it was being done for politics. Do you stand by that, yes or no?
That is not correct.
Do you believe that the buyback will work?
The buyback is right now being implemented. There's a pilot right now in Cape Breton.
That is not what I asked.
Mr. Chair, I would like I think the fair way to do this is that I get adequate time to respond to questions posed. So if I may, the buyback program is currently being implemented. There's a pilot right now in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. From all accounts, the registration appears to be going well. We are ironing out any logistical issues that may arise.
Okay. That registration,
the program will be expanded
let's talk
across
about that.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. To add, Mr. Chair, that TikTok is not banned in Canada. It's available on the app stores. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I will reclaim my time, Canadians' time, when the minister is going on and on for speaking. I understand the Liberals want to protect the Liberal minister. I'm not here for that. I'm here for answers. Let's keep going here. You spoke about Cape Breton Island. Now, there is a chief who is the brother-in-law to a Liberal MP on Cape Breton Island. Did you speak with that chief in respect of this buyback? Just a yes or no, please.
Speaker, as you know, the Mass Casualty Commission report...
That's not what I asked, Minister. I asked whether you spoke with a chief.
Mr. Chair, I would like the opportunity to respond. The Mass Casualty Commission report indicated that governments need to do everything in their powers to ensure
asked
that
whether you
Mr.
Chair, he doesn't get to talk out the clock. He has to answer. I asked whether he spoke with the chief, Chair. That's it. He doesn't get to talk about turkey basters or whatever we're going to talk about here. He has to speak about the questions he's given, and I won't stand for this as somebody representing Canadians to let him talk out the clock. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Point of order. Okay, thank you. You have another 10 seconds, Mr. Caputo.
Did you speak with that chief, yes or no?
Mr. Chair, the Mass Casualty Commission report in Nova Scotia indicated that governments need to do everything in their powers to get assault.
You spoke with a Liberal insider.
That's it. Thank you so much for the first.
Thank you. Minister, I appreciate you talking about the rise in hate in Canada and the meetings that you said you've had with synagogues and mosque communities. Are you aware that 123 churches have been burned, vandalized, or desecrated in the last 4 years in Canada?
Mr. Lloyd, I am aware that a number of places of worship, including churches, have been vandalized, yes.
Have you met with any of those congregations, Minister?
I have not met with those specific congregations, but I have met with many members of different church and faith groups.
You haven't met with any of the members of the congregations in Canada, churches that have been subject to hate crimes over the last 4 years in this country?
I have not, no.
Is it because hate crimes against Christians aren't a priority for this government, Minister?
That's absolutely incorrect.
Well, you said you met with synagogues and mosques, which I do appreciate. Those communities need your support, Minister, but Christian communities also need your support. Why have you not met with any of those communities, Minister?
Well, I can tell you that I meet with faith leaders, I meet with Christian leaders across Canada all the time.
Thank you.
I've met with...
I'm going to move on to the next question. There have been allegations made that there was an Antifa member who threw smoke bombs into a church service in Montreal this past summer. The allegations are that they're a government employee that work on a military base outside of Montreal. Are you aware of these allegations, and are they being investigated?
Allegations such as that are investigated by the police of jurisdiction, so that in this case it would be the City of Montreal Police.
Considering that this is a potential terrorism case, does this concern you? Are you at all concerned about potentially a government employee being a member of an organization like Antifa and committing a crime like throwing smoke bombs in a church service?
I'm concerned at every incidence of hate at any place, including churches, and certainly the allegation involves government employees. That makes me more concerned.
Minister, prominent members of your caucus have called for the banning of the SKS. These are hunting rifles that are used by Indigenous people and many others. Can you confirm to this committee, yes or no, is your government planning on banning the SKS?
No, but what I can say is that the expert panel is tasked to come up with recommendations.
To clarify, are you saying no, we can't confirm, or no, you are not banning the SKS?
No, we're not.
Okay. Minister, only a third of the $750 million that you're planning on spending on this gun confiscation is for compensating firearms owners. This number is estimated to be well short of the amount that's needed. If you continue on and compensate all these firearm owners, it's going to be well over $1 billion. How can you justify that expense when we've been told by the Customs and Immigration Union that we only have 300 CBSA officers who are at the borders and removing potentially violent criminals from Canada? How can you justify that expense?
I think that number is incorrect with respect to CBSA, and I can ask Ms. O'Gorman if you wish to clarify.
I'll move on to the next question. Thank you, Minister. Minister, trappers, foresters, biologists, Ms. O'Gorman, if you could provide that in writing to this committee at a later time, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Trappers, foresters, biologists, and other wilderness workers require protection from dangerous animals like cougars and bears. Minister, do you believe that these individuals should be able to carry handguns for their personal protection?
They should be able to carry the right type of equipment to do their job that is in line with Canadian law.
So these professionals, they do have to carry a lot of equipment into the wilderness. They can't just carry a rifle. It can be very heavy with all their other equipment. A sidearm is necessary for their safety. Do you support their right to do this?
I support their right to be equipped with the right type of tools that they need to do their job effectively and safely in line with Canadian law.
Does that include a handgun when necessary?
Again, I will repeat what I said, Mr. Lloyd.
Are you aware of what an authorization to carry is, Minister?
Yes, I am.
Are you aware of what it takes to get an authorization to carry in Canada?
Yes, I am.
What is required to get an authorization to carry?
What will be required is a course that will ensure that they're properly trained in carrying the said type of firearm.
Yes, a proof of proficiency test. I'm pleased that you understand that, Minister. Minister, since your government brought in the handgun freeze, it's now become impossible for anyone to transfer or purchase a handgun. So how do you expect people to pass a proficiency test if they can never get access to a handgun?
Well, listen, these... As you're aware, this legislation was brought in as part of Bill C-21 and previously through a number of orders and councils. To date, we believe that the program is working well.
These members cannot get their proficiency test because of C-21. You're asking these people to go on their trap lines, to go into the forest without the proper equipment that they need. Do you commit to fixing this, Minister? Because you're putting these people's lives at risk. Because they can't access handguns because your government, in a reckless ideological decision, completely banned the transfer of handguns. So people cannot get their authorizations to carry. They cannot get their proficiency tests. What are you going to do to fix this, Minister?
Unfortunately, the time is over.
I just want to pick up on what the last question was, because there seems to be a bit of a contradiction. So you have mentioned to my colleague that you would not ban the SKS. However, it's still under review whether you would ban the purchase and sale of the SKS. Can you please clarify?
Sure. At this point, there is no plan to ban the SKS. Okay, there's no But however, the expert panel, there is an expert panel, as you're aware, as part of Bill C-21, that will, that if they do recommend movement on it, then we will make.
Okay, so this isn't a permanent promise. This is just a for now promise that we're not banning the SKS for now.
The commitment that I've made is that there's 2,500 prohibited firearms as part of the 3 sets of orders in council that are the subject of the buyback program. So those will.
Don't know, please just tell us, please don't ask the officials. Since the Liberal government took power, how much is violent crime up, sir?
Well, I can assure the member that crime overall is generally on the downward trend across Canada.
It's I'll help you. It's 55%. Again, just a number. What are homicides up since the Liberal government took power?
In the city of Toronto, it's down 51% from this time last year.
That's not what I asked, sir. I asked how much homicides are up. 29% since your government took power. What about sexual assaults? What are they up since your government took power? Just a number, please.
Mr. Caputo, this is not a test. Okay, so let me just suggest that overall, general trend of crime has been going down. Having said that, I think there's a lot of work that we need to do. There are areas that are of concern, and as a government, we're bringing forward legislation to strengthen issues
with respect,
such as bail.
Minister, I asked for numbers. Okay, you are the minister, so with all due respect, we can ask these questions on behalf of Canadians and do it in good faith. What's extortion up since your government took power? Just a number, please.
Again, let me just say that overall, there's some type of crimes that are on the uptick.
330%, Minister. Auto theft. What is that up since your government took power? Just a number, please.
It's down 19% nationwide. It's down 25% in Ontario and 22% in Quebec.
And it's up 25.33% since your government took power. What about hate crimes? MP Lloyd talked to you about that. What are they up since your government took power? Just a number, please.
Hate crime has, since particularly October 7th of 2023, it's been up significantly.
258% in the last 10 years. And you still haven't met with some of the congregations. How about gun crime? Not the last year, the last 10 years. What is it up, Minister? Just a number, please.
Well, let me suggest, Mr. Caputo, if you're serious about ensuring the safety and security of Canadians and addressing issues of gun crimes.
That's not what I asked,
sir. We need to have a holistic approach.
Minister,
attention.
With all due respect, Minister, I prosecuted gun crimes on a number of occasions. Please, I understand the impacts of gun crimes. I've looked victims in the eye. Victims who I think will want to know that the minister knows that gun crime has soared 130% since Liberals took office. How about
Mr. Caputo,
no, I'm asking the question here, Minister. This is my time on behalf of Canadians to ask questions, sir. How about in Toronto? Total violent crime. How much is it up since 2015?
Mr. Caputo, in my previous role, unfortunately have had to bury a number of young people who lost their lives to gun violence. There isn't a person in this room that will say that gun violence of any form is acceptable. What we need to do here in this Parliament and this committee and across party lines is to have a mature conversation about the impacts of guns.
And I am happy to do
politicizing
that,
it.
Minister,
And
we have very limited time. I have one more question for you. Is Toronto safe?
Mr. Caputo, I represent Scarborough, Guildwood, Rouge Park. It is a very safe community. Around the city of Toronto, it is safe. There are incidents that have happened that may appear to make it unsafe, but I can tell you from the Toronto Police Service, homicides are down 51% from last year. Shooting and firearms discharge are down 40% from this time last year. Overall, for example, auto theft are down above 22%.
Mr. Au does need some time. Thank you.
30 seconds, MP Au.
Minister, as the public safety minister, are you aware of the diversion of so-called safe supply drugs to the black market in BC?
There are issues that are happening in BC, and a lot of it falls under the jurisdiction of the province, Mr. Rao.
Do you know the magnitude of the problem? Do you know how much money flowed into the hands of the criminals?
Mr. Rao, the issues around illegal drugs.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but time is up.
Minister, I want to continue with my question. So do you know the magnitude of the problem that the safer supply drugs are being resold to the criminals?
Mr. Rao, I recognize the deep impact of drugs, illegal drugs, including what you're suggesting, which is selling of safe supply, has on communities. It is abhorrent. I've had the chance to meet with many law enforcement, even including in British
Minister,
Columbia.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you know the magnitude? So how many pills were being get into the hands of criminals? How much money flowed into the hands of criminals? Do you know that?
Mr. Rao, with respect to British Columbia, I do not know that.
Okay. Now, again, do you know that the police chief of London, Mr. Tai Tran, said that the safer supply program are fueling the illegal drug trade? Are you aware of that?
I've had the opportunity to meet with the police services in London. The chief, when I visited there, was not in London, so I wasn't able to meet with him, but I was met with his deputies as well as a number of his superintendents. We talked about some of the challenges that they face in their downtown, including on issues around
Minister,
safe
you know,
supply.
at the time I have to interrupt. So clearly, you do not have the information. So is it not your obligation to be informed?
Mr. Rao, I am well aware of the challenges that are faced by our main streets, many of our municipalities. I've been working with the fentanyl czar. Even yesterday I met with the fentanyl czar and several organizations relating to mental health. I have visited many of the downtowns of incidences that you're talking about, and I deeply understand the challenges that we face. It is a culmination of issues that congregate.
Okay, again, sorry for the interruption. Now, this is an article in a medical journal, JAMA, and in this article, it reported that the safer supply program was associated with increased opioid-related hospitalizations, expanded illegal supply, and increased demand of illicit drugs. So are you aware of this report?
I did not personally read that report, no, I did not.
So you are not on top of the issue. So how could...
Mr. Rao, you're showing me a piece of paper. It doesn't. You don't even cite what the article is. You don't cite who the author is. You don't cite who the researcher is. You don't cite with which institution is attached to it, and you're asking me to comment on it.
So is this
I'm
not,
telling you
not
that
your
I have
obligation?
not.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. MPL. This is becoming difficult to understand and to follow.
So is it not your obligation and your responsibility to be informed and be on top of the issues so that Canadians will not suffer from the illegal supply of drugs on the streets?
Mr. Rao, I invite you to go through my itinerary over the last 4.5 months. Every major city, every mid-sized municipality I've visited. I have visited the downtowns. I have visited many of the areas where there are challenges, including on drug use, on fentanyl use, on meth use, and I wholly understand the challenges. Let's not let's not question each other's
political problem.
Mr. Rao,
Sorry.
If I may,
Mr. Minister and MPL.
Yeah, I'm particularly talking about the safer supply program. It's because of the exemption given by your government that these drugs are being flowed into the hands of criminals. More people die of overdose. More young people are being, get into drugs, and the money that flow into the hands of criminals are making the problems even worse. And the Canadians are feeling that they are not being safe in their community. So how could you not take responsibility?
Mr. Rao, you're talking about a program that is run by the provinces. Safe supply is not that's run by the federal government or authorized by the federal government. It is at the request of the provinces that these programs run. I will take responsibility for a lot of things, Mr. Au, but I'm not taking responsibility for something that the province is responsible for. What I do want to talk about, if I may, is...
So again, sorry to interrupt, I would pass on the time to my colleague, Mr. Gill.
Unfortunately, there are only 10 seconds left, MP Gill, so I doubt that there will be an answer.
Well, I'll make it very straightforward question here. Do you know the leading cause of death for children in BC?
Look, I think there are a lot of things happening, but I know fentanyl is amongst the top.
Yes, so
I'm
overdose.
sorry to interrupt, but that's all the time we got.
Member. Does the minister have an RPAL? Minister.
Can you repeat that question?
Member. I'll rephrase, Chair. Does the minister know what an RPAL is? Minister.
I do not.
Member. Does the minister know what the CFSC is? Minister.
I do not know.
Member. I'll stipulate, Chair, that is the Canadian firearm safety course that all gun owners in Canada have to do to get their firearms license. Has the minister ever done the Canadian firearm safety course? Minister.
Speaker, it's my third week on the job. No, I have not.
The honourable member. Does the minister know what safety classes and safety demands are expected of law-abiding Canadian gun owners? The honourable minister.
This is not about law-abiding gun owners, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member. How can the minister make that claim when he doesn't know the basic fundamentals of law-abiding gun ownership in this country, Chair? Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Bill 21 is meant to get serious, dangerous weapons off our streets.
The honourable member, very briefly, and just confirming that he's splitting his time 3 ways. Chair, will the minister commit to taking the Canadian firearm safety course so he'll know what he's talking about? The honourable minister.
Mr. Speaker, I do not intend to purchase a firearm or use a firearm.